Commander John Evans stood frozen at the main viewport of Earth Defense Station Alpha, his eyes fixed on the massive ships entering the solar system. They moved with grace despite their size, their hulls gleaming with strange metals that seemed to shift color in the light of the sun. "Are you seeing this, Admiral?" he asked into his comm unit. Admiral Susan Wright's voice came through, steady but tense. "We're tracking them now. 23 vessels and counting. Nothing like we've ever seen before." The alien fleet had appeared beyond Pluto's orbit just hours ago. They traveled faster than any human ship, covering the vast distance to Earth's orbit in what should have taken months. "They're broadcasting something," said Communications Officer Frank Miller. His fingers moved quickly across his console. I think it's a greeting. The computers are translating now." The main screen flickered to life. A tall, blue-skinned being appeared. Its 4 eyes blinked in sequence as it spoke in a deep, rumbling voice that the translation software converted to English. "People of Earth, we are the Xeraxians. We come seeking diplomatic relations with your world." Admiral Wright arrived at the station within the hour. As Earth's highest-ranking military officer, she would lead the human delegation. She gathered her team: Commander Evans, 2 diplomats, and a scientist. "Remember," she told them as they prepared to board the shuttle, "show no fear. These aliens may be advanced, but we represent all of humanity." The human shuttle looked tiny next to the Xeraxian flagship. Its entry bay could have held 20 such shuttles with room to spare. Inside, the ceilings towered 30 feet high, clearly built for beings larger than humans. Supreme Commander Krelvor towered over the human delegation, his massive frame covered in what looked like natural armor. He led them to a circular room with a view of Earth and the human defense fleet, 30 ships positioned in protective formation around the planet. "Such tiny vessels," Krelvor said, his translator making his words sound amused. "Like children's toys." Admiral Wright kept her face neutral. "They serve our needs." "Do they?" The alien commander moved closer. "Our scans show primitive weapon systems, weak shields, and engines that barely achieve light speed." His 4 eyes blinked in what the humans would later learn was a gesture of mockery. How did such simple creatures even reach space? The other Xeraxians in the room made low, rumbling sounds. Laughter. "We are a young species," one of the diplomats offered. "Indeed." Krelvor touched a control, and a hologram appeared showing the Xeraxian fleet. Hundreds of ships, not just the 23 that had entered the solar system. "We have been among the stars for 10,000 years. We have claimed 57 planets for resources." The mood in the room shifted. Admiral Wright felt a chill. "Claimed?" she asked. "Yes, and now we have found your world. Rich in water, minerals, and biological diversity." Krelvor's voice hardened. "You have 2 Earth rotations to surrender your planet. Your people may live as our workers. Resist, and we will take what we want anyway." The meeting ended abruptly. As the human delegation was escorted back to their shuttle, they saw Xeraxian crews loading what looked like weapons. "They were never here for diplomacy," Commander Evans whispered. Back on Earth, emergency meetings began. World leaders gathered. Military commanders reviewed their options. The truth was harsh. Earth's fleet couldn't match even a fraction of the Xeraxian force. "What are our options?" asked the United Nations Secretary General. Admiral Wright looked around the room, her face grim. "We have 48 hours to find a way to survive. Our visible defenses won't last an hour against their fleet." She emphasized the word visible, but said nothing more as worried voices filled the room. Unknown to most people present, she had already sent an encrypted message to a hidden facility beyond Neptune's orbit. Their only hope lay in something the Xeraxians hadn't seen, something humanity had kept secret even from itself. While world leaders argued in the emergency meeting, Communications Officer Frank Miller sat alone in the monitoring station. His job was to watch for any new signals from the Xeraxian fleet, but something else caught his attention, a faint signal coming from beyond Neptune. Frank checked his equipment twice. The signal was encrypted using Earth's most secret military codes. He called Captain Lisa Grant immediately. "Captain, you need to see this," he said when she arrived. "It's coming from Sector 12, Quadrant 7. Captain Grant's eyes widened. "That's where?" "Where what?" Frank asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she used her special clearance code to access a secure channel. "Get me Admiral Wright. Now." Across the base, Admiral Wright excused herself from the tense meeting. Her secure communicator had vibrated with the highest priority code. "Right here," she said once in a private room. "Admiral, it's Captain Grant. We're receiving signals from Project Olympus." A look of hope crossed the Admiral's face for the first time since meeting the aliens. "Put me through to whoever's in charge out there." Minutes later, the screen showed the face of Dr. Alan Bennett, gray-haired and tired-looking, but his eyes were bright with intelligence. "Admiral, we've been monitoring the situation," Bennett said. "The Colossus is ready." "That's impossible," Wright replied. "The project wasn't supposed to be completed for another 5 years." Bennett smiled slightly. "That's what we wanted everyone to think. Even most of the government doesn't know." After the Mars incident 3 years ago, a decision was made to accelerate the project in secret. "We've been testing systems for the past 6 months." Admiral Wright sat down, processing this news. Project Olympus was humanity's most ambitious military project. The creation of Earth's first true mothership. Named the EDF Colossus, it was designed to be the centerpiece of a future defense fleet. It would carry hundreds of fighter ships, house thousands of crew members, and feature weapons systems far beyond current technology. And apparently, it existed now. "What's your combat readiness?" Wright asked. 93%, Bennett replied. "We've solved the shield modulation issues. The quantum cannons are operational. We have crews for essential systems, though we're understaffed for a full combat situation." Wright leaned closer to the screen. "Can you get here in time?" Bennett nodded. "The new drive system works better than expected. We can reach Earth orbit in 36 hours if we push it. The Xeraxians won't detect us until we're close. We've developed masking technology based on their own energy signatures." For the first time, hope seemed possible. Wright outlined a plan. The Colossus would approach from behind Earth's moon, using it as cover for the final approach. Earth's visible fleet would engage in apparent negotiations, stalling for time. "I need to brief the president and select military personnel only," Wright said. "If word leaks about the Colossus, we lose our only advantage: surprise." When she returned to the crisis meeting, Admiral Wright's demeanor had changed. She still looked serious, but no longer defeated. "We need to open communication channels with the Xeraxians again," she announced. "Request more time for consideration. Tell them we're divided on how to respond." "You want us to stall?" asked the Secretary General, confused by the change. "Exactly," Wright replied. "Every hour we gain matters." She couldn't say more in the full meeting. Later, in the president's private office with only 5 other military leaders present, Wright explained about the Colossus. Screens showed the massive ship, 3 miles long, bristling with weapons systems that most of Earth's own military didn't know existed. "How did we keep something this big secret?" asked the president, staring at the images. "It was built in sections, assembled in Neptune's shadow," Wright explained. "Most workers thought they were building different projects. Only a handful knew the full truth." As they spoke, the Colossus had already begun its journey toward Earth, powered by engines that left minimal energy signatures. Captain Greg Wilson, chosen to command the massive vessel, studied the Xeraxian fleet information. "They think they know what we're capable of," he told his crew. "Let's show them how wrong they are." Admiral Wright gathered Earth's best military minds in a secure underground room. The walls were lined with technology that blocked any signals from entering or leaving. On the main screen was a live feed from the Colossus, showing Captain Greg Wilson and his newly assembled command crew. "We have 32 hours until the Xeraxians expect our surrender," Wright said, "and 36 hours until the Colossus arrives. We need to buy time. Major Paul Rodriguez, known for his brilliant tactical mind, stood up. We need more than time. We need to position our fleet in a way that seems random, but actually clears a path for the Colossus to approach. Dr. Nancy Carter, the leading astrophysicist on the team, pointed to a 3D map of Earth's orbit. The moon provides our best cover. If we can get the Xeraxians to focus their attention on this sector. She highlighted an area opposite the moon. The Colossus can use the moon's shadow for its final approach. While they planned on Earth, Captain Wilson was busy on the Colossus. The massive ship hummed with activity as crew members prepared for battle. They had trained for years, but never expected to face real combat so soon. Shield status? Wilson asked. Weapons specialist Olivia Brown checked her console. Shields at 94% capacity and stable. The new quantum barrier should hold against their main weapons, at least for a while. Navigation expert Daniel Park studied the complex route he had plotted. We'll stay in the sensor shadow of Pluto for the first leg, then use the solar radiation to mask our approach through the asteroid belt. It's tricky, but it should work. The Colossus was truly massive, large enough to house 10,000 people, though currently it had only 2,000 crew members on board. Its main hangar held 300 fighter ships, and its weapons systems could target multiple enemies simultaneously. Back on Earth, Admiral Wright met with the Xeraxian representatives again. This time, she brought a proposal. My leaders wish to discuss surrender terms, she said, working to keep her voice humble. But our planet has many nations. We need more time to reach agreement. Supreme Commander Krelvor loomed over her. You test my patience, human. Your petty nations mean nothing to us. Please, Wright continued. We have centuries of history to consider. Some wish to fight, even knowing we would lose. I need time to convince them otherwise. The four eyes of the alien commander blinked in sequence, that gesture of mockery again. Very well. You have one additional Earth day. Use it wisely. Wright bowed slightly. Thank you, Supreme Commander. As she left the meeting, Wright touched her hidden communicator. We got 24 more hours, she whispered. Status of Operation Shadow. Lieutenant Kevin Walsh responded from his position near Earth's moon. First phase complete, Admiral. Satellites in position. Walsh and his team had deployed special devices that would help mask the Colossus's approach by creating false readings on Xeraxian scanners. They looked like ordinary communications satellites, but carried advanced technology developed specifically for this scenario. The Xeraxians, meanwhile, continued to prepare for an easy victory. Their ships moved into attack formation, running battle drills that were visible to Earth's defenders. It was clearly meant to intimidate. Look at them, one Xeraxian officer said to another as they watched Earth's small fleet maneuver. Their ships change course every few hours with no pattern. They're panicking. Such primitive creatures, his companion agreed. They haven't even unified their planet. Half their weapons still use chemical propellants. What they didn't realize was that Earth's random maneuvers were carefully planned. Each movement helped create a corridor, invisible to the aliens, through which the Colossus would soon arrive. As the deadline approached, tension grew on both sides. The Xeraxians prepared for an easy conquest. Earth's visible defenders braced for what looked like certain defeat. And in the darkness beyond the moon, Lieutenant Walsh activated the final satellite. Operation Shadow complete, he reported. The corridor is ready. Captain Wilson's voice came through the secure channel from the approaching Colossus. Understood. We're entering the solar system now. Arrival in 18 hours. For the first time, humanity had a fighting chance. The Colossus was coming home. Admiral Wright stood once again in the meeting chamber of the Xeraxian flagship. This time, she brought different human representatives with her, people who appeared nervous and defeated. Supreme Commander, she began, her voice deliberately hesitant. Several of our nations wish to negotiate specific surrender terms. Krelvor made that familiar blinking motion with his four eyes. There are no terms to discuss. You will submit to Xeraxian authority or be destroyed. Of course, Wright said quickly. But some of our leaders hope to preserve certain cultural sites. Others wish to know what roles humans might serve in your empire. The alien commander walked slowly around the humans, studying them. You seek to delay. Why? Wright controlled her expression carefully. Our world has never faced this situation before. Some still believe we should fight. Despite the odds, I'm trying to prevent pointless bloodshed. This wasn't entirely a lie. Wright was indeed preventing bloodshed, just not in the way the Xeraxians thought. Very well, Krelvor finally said. You may present your concerns, but know that my patience grows thin. As the meeting dragged on with meaningless discussion, Earth's defense fleet continued its strange maneuvers. Small groups of ships moved in patterns that seemed random, but were precisely calculated. On the Xeraxian command ship, a junior officer approached his superior. The humans are moving their fleet again. Should we be concerned? The senior officer laughed. Their ships scatter like frightened animals. Some head toward their moon, others toward their orbital stations. They have no coherent strategy. But this is the third formation change in 6 hours, the junior officer insisted. They hope to confuse us, perhaps, the senior officer replied dismissively. As if their primitive vessels could pose any threat. Continue monitoring, but it's hardly worth reporting. What the Xeraxians didn't understand was that each movement was part of Lieutenant Walsh's carefully orchestrated plan. The human ships were creating sensor shadows, blind spots in the Xeraxian detection grid. Meanwhile, the specialized satellites deployed near the moon began their most important work. They emitted energy patterns that mimicked natural lunar radiation, but were specifically designed to interfere with Xeraxian scanning technology. Walsh monitored everything from a small control room on Earth's lunar base. Sector 7 is clear, he reported through the secure channel. The Colossus can proceed through Checkpoint Alpha. Thousands of miles away, the massive human mothership adjusted its course. Captain Wilson stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display. Time to Earth orbit, he asked. 11 hours, 17 minutes, Navigation Officer Park replied. We're making better time than expected. The new engines are performing above specifications. Any sign the Xeraxians have detected us? Wilson asked. Communications specialist Liam Gordon shook his head. Nothing, sir. Their chatter suggests they're completely focused on the surrender negotiations and our visible fleet. Back in the diplomatic meeting, discussions had turned tense. Krelvor was growing visibly impatient with the humans' questions and concerns. Enough, he finally shouted, making the human delegates jump. You waste valuable time. I begin to think you have no intention of surrendering. Admiral Wright kept her composure. Supreme Commander, please understand. Our species has never faced extinction before. We need reassurance. Reassurance. The alien commander's voice turned cold. Here is your reassurance. He activated a holographic display showing the Xeraxian fleet moving into attack positions. In 6 hours, we begin our assault. Your questions about cultural preservation will be irrelevant when your cities are ash. As the human delegation was escorted back to their shuttle, Admiral Wright checked her hidden communicator. A message from Earth Command appeared. Colossus at Checkpoint Beta. 9 hours to arrival. It would be close. Too close. They needed more time. As their shuttle returned to Earth, Wright contacted Lieutenant Walsh. Implement Protocol Omega, she ordered. Within minutes, 3 of Earth's defense ships appeared to suffer major mechanical failures. Distress signals blared across all frequencies as the ships drifted toward the Xeraxian fleet. What is happening? Krelvor demanded when told of the approaching vessels. Human ships malfunction, his officer reported. They're requesting emergency assistance. Ignore them, Krelvor ordered. Then he paused. No, this may provide useful information about their technology. Tractor the vessels to a safe distance and examine them. The delay would buy Earth precious hours. Every minute brought the Colossus closer to its reveal. Supreme Commander Krelvor's patience had finally run out. The human ships with supposed mechanical failures had been examined and revealed nothing of value. They were simply old vessels with outdated technology. Begin the attack sequence, he ordered his fleet. Target their major defense installations first. His officers moved quickly to obey. The massive Zyraxian ships shifted into their final attack positions, weapons systems powering up. On their view screens, Earth's small fleet looked pathetically outmatched. "Look at them scrambling," one Zyraxian officer sneered. "Like insects before the storm." The main attack fleet was just minutes from firing when a junior sensor operator called out in confusion. "Commander, large object detected behind Earth's moon." "What object?" Krelvor demanded. "Explain." "Unknown, sir. It's massive. Moving into position now." Krelvor watched in disbelief as his view screen showed something emerging from behind Earth's moon. A ship, if it could be called that. The vessel was enormous, dwarfing even the Zyraxian command ship. Its hull gleamed with a dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Impossible," he whispered. "Where did they hide such a vessel?" On the bridge of the EDF Colossus, Captain Wilson stood tall. "All systems ready, Captain," reported Weapons Officer Brown. "Shields at full power," added Chief Engineer Nelson. "We can take whatever they throw at us." Wilson nodded. "Open communications with the Zyraxian command ship." Across space, Krelvor watched as his screen changed to show a human face. Captain Wilson, sitting in the command chair of the Colossus. "This is Captain Gregory Wilson of the Earth Defense Force Colossus," the human said calmly. "Your fleet is now surrounded, Supreme Commander Krelvor." "Surrounded?" The alien commander laughed despite his shock. "By one ship. No matter its size, you cannot." He stopped speaking as the Colossus's hangar bays opened. Hundreds of fighter ships poured out, forming perfect attack formations around the Mothership. Unlike Earth's visible fleet, these fighters were sleek, advanced vessels armed with weapons the Zyraxians had never seen before. "As you can see," Wilson continued, "we've been developing technology in secret for decades. Your scanners will confirm that our weapons systems are specifically designed to target your vessel's vulnerabilities." Krelvor turned to his science officer. "Is this true?" The science officer's hands moved quickly over his console. His 4 eyes widened. They have weapons calibrated to our shield frequencies, and their fighters are using a propulsion system similar to our own, but more advanced." "Impossible." Krelvor slammed his fist down. "These humans are primitives." On his screen, Captain Wilson smiled slightly. "We allowed you to believe that, Commander. Your species first visited Earth 50 years ago, disguised as meteor showers. We recovered fragments of your technology and began reverse engineering it. Everything you've seen of our public space program was a carefully constructed facade." Admiral Wright's voice came through as she joined the transmission. "While you saw our visible fleet as weak and primitive, we were building something far more powerful in secret. We knew someday we would meet your kind officially." Krelvor's anger turned to disbelief as his tactical officer reported more bad news. "Sir, we're detecting energy signatures from their fighters that match our own weapon systems. And their shields. Our standard weapons may not penetrate them." The Zyraxian commander stared at the humans on his screen. These creatures he had mocked now held the upper hand. The Colossus moved closer, its massive shadow falling across the Zyraxian flagship. "You have 2 options," Captain Wilson said calmly. "Retreat from our solar system immediately, or face the consequences of your attempted invasion." For the first time in his long military career, Supreme Commander Krelvor felt something unfamiliar, fear, but his pride wouldn't let him retreat. "Not yet." "Your bluff is impressive," he said finally. "Let us see if this vessel of yours can actually fight." He cut the transmission and turned to his crew. "Prepare all weapons. Target the human mothership." The greatest space battle in human history was about to begin. The void of space lit up as the first Xeraxian ships fired. Bright purple beams streaked toward the Colossus, hitting its shields with tremendous force. The human mothership shuddered, but held firm. "Shield status," Captain Wilson asked calmly. "Holding at 92%, Chief Engineer Richard Nelson reported from his station. "Their weapons are powerful, but our shields are absorbing most of the impact." Wilson nodded. "Return fire. Target their lead destroyers." The Colossus responded with its main weapons array. Unlike the crude missiles used by Earth's public fleet, these weapons fired concentrated beams of blue-white energy that cut through space like lightning. The beams hit 3 Xeraxian ships simultaneously, overwhelming their shields and cutting deep into their hulls. Direct hits. Weapons Officer Olivia Brown called out. Enemy vessels showing significant damage. Around the massive mothership, Earth's fighter squadrons launched into action. Lieutenant Maria Hayes led the main attack group, her voice steady as she gave orders. "Alpha Squadron, target their engines. Beta Squadron, focus on their weapon systems. Stay in formation and watch for their fighters." The human fighters were smaller than the Xeraxian attack craft, but much faster. They darted between the larger alien vessels, firing with precision. The Xeraxians, caught off guard by the humans' unexpected technology and tactics, struggled to respond effectively. On the Xeraxian flagship, Supreme Commander Krelvor watched in growing horror as his ships took damage. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Their weapons shouldn't be able to penetrate our shields." "They've somehow adapted their technology to counter ours," his science officer explained frantically. "They must have been studying us for years." Krelvor slammed his fist down. "Launch all fighters. Target their mothership's engines." The battle expanded as hundreds of Xeraxian fighters poured into space. They swarmed toward the Colossus like angry insects, firing continuously. "Multiple hits to Sections 3 and 4, reported Damage Control Officer Sam Peters. "Medical Bay is reporting casualties." In the medical bay, Dr. Julia Foster worked quickly to treat the wounded crew members. The ship shook again as more Xeraxian weapons found their mark. "Steady," she called to her medical team. "Keep working." Back on the bridge, Captain Wilson studied the tactical display. The Xeraxians still had the advantage of numbers, but the Colossus and its fighters were inflicting heavy damage. 6 enemy capital ships were already crippled or destroyed. "Sir," Communications Officer Gordon called out, "Admiral Wright is requesting an update." Wilson touched a control. "Admiral, we're holding our own. The Colossus is performing above expectations." "Good," Wright replied. "Earth's defense fleet is moving to support your position. We're no longer hiding our capabilities." The smaller Earth vessels, previously dismissed by the Xeraxians as primitive, now revealed hidden weapons systems as they joined the battle. The aliens had been thoroughly deceived about humanity's true strength. As the battle raged, Lieutenant Hayes spotted an opportunity. "Captain, the Xeraxian flagship has shifted position. Its rear shields are weakened." Wilson turned to his navigation officer. "Daniel, can you get us into position for a strike on their command ship?" "It's risky," Park replied. "We'd need to move through their defense line." "Plot the course. All hands, prepare for high-G maneuvers," Wilson ordered. The massive Colossus began to move with surprising speed and agility for its size. Its engines flared bright as it accelerated toward the Xeraxian flagship. "They're targeting us with everything they have," Engineer Nelson warned. Wilson held tight to his command chair as the ship shook violently. "Divert emergency power to forward shields." The Colossus pushed through a storm of enemy fire. Its outer hull glowed hot in places where the shields were weakening, but it kept moving forward with unstoppable momentum. On his flagship, Krelvor watched the approaching human vessel with disbelief. No ship that size should be able to maneuver so quickly. "Evasive action," he ordered. "Get us away from them." But it was too late. The Colossus had positioned itself perfectly for a direct confrontation with the Xeraxian command ship. For the first time in the battle, Captain Wilson and Supreme Commander Krelvor faced each other directly, separated only by the view screens on their respective bridges and the thinning shield barriers between their ships. The two massive ships faced each other in space, the Colossus and the Xeraxian flagship. Both had taken damage, but the human vessel appeared to be in better condition. Final warning, Captain Wilson announced over the communication channel. Power down your weapons and surrender. On his bridge, Supreme Commander Krelvor hissed with rage. Xeraxians do not surrender. Then you leave us no choice, Wilson replied calmly. The Colossus fired its main weapon, the Quantum Lance. The weapon had been developed using principles discovered in the alien technology found decades earlier. A brilliant white beam connected the two ships for just 3 seconds. When it faded, the Xeraxian flagship's main weapons array was completely destroyed. Their weapons are offline, Weapons Officer Brown reported. Their shields are failing. Wilson nodded. Target their engines next. Disable, don't destroy. Before the Colossus could fire again, a new message came from the Xeraxian ship. It wasn't Krelvor this time, but another officer. Human vessel, the new voice said. I am Sub-Commander Vexilor. I have removed Supreme Commander Krelvor from command. We request terms of surrender. A cheer went up on the Colossus bridge. Captain Wilson silenced it with a raised hand. This isn't over yet, he reminded his crew. Around them, the space battle was turning decisively in humanity's favor. The Xeraxian fleet, seeing their flagship disabled and their commander overthrown, began to fall back. Admiral Wright joined the communication from Earth Command. Sub-Commander Vexilor, as representative of Earth's Unified Defense Forces, I accept your surrender with the following terms. All Xeraxian ships will power down weapons immediately and prepare to be boarded by human security teams. The alien agreed quickly, clearly shaken by how completely the situation had reversed. In the hours that followed, human security teams led by Major Rodriguez boarded the Xeraxian vessels. They found the alien crews confused and demoralized. Many had believed humans to be primitive beings barely worth noticing. Now they were prisoners of war. On the main Xeraxian flagship, they found Krelvor in the brig. The former commander had been bound by his own officers after refusing to surrender. You tricked us, he spat when Admiral Wright came to see him. You hid your true strength. Wright nodded. We did, just as you hid your intentions behind false diplomacy. The difference is that we're offering you life, not extinction. 3 days later, Earth celebrated. The Colossus was officially revealed to the public in a ceremony attended by leaders from around the world. Captain Wilson and his crew were hailed as heroes. In private meetings, Admiral Wright led negotiations with the captured Xeraxian officers. The terms were firm but fair. The aliens would acknowledge Earth's sovereignty and agree to non-aggression treaties. Trade would be permitted but carefully regulated. You should know, Wright told them, that the Colossus is just the first of our new fleet. We have 3 more under construction. This was a bluff. There were no other ships yet, but the aliens believed it completely now. 1 month after the battle, Dr. Alan Bennett revealed more secrets to an astonished world. The hidden research facility beyond Neptune had developed not just advanced ships, but new forms of energy, medicine, and communication. We kept these advancements secret, he explained, because we knew we weren't alone in the universe. Now we can share them with all humanity. As news of the battle spread through space, other alien civilizations took notice. The species that had dismissed humans as primitive now reconsidered. Diplomatic missions arrived from 3 different worlds within months, seeking alliances rather than conquest. Captain Wilson stood on the observation deck of the Colossus, watching Earth rotate peacefully below. Lieutenant Hayes joined him there. "What are you thinking, Captain?" she asked. He smiled slightly. "I'm thinking that being underestimated was our greatest advantage, and now that advantage is gone forever." "Is that bad?" she wondered. "No," Wilson replied. "It just means we have to be even better now. The universe is watching." Below them, Earth entered a new era, no longer isolated or vulnerable, but recognized as a powerful force in the galaxy. The planet that aliens had once mocked was now one they approached with respect and caution. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage.